Check my slang and my dialect. West African nigga, I'm proud of that. A lot of you know me from Cackalack, but I don't spit artificial, spit artifacts. Think I'm with the right side of my brain, so you telling me I don't know how to act. Allow me to introduce you to a theory of language that most likely counteracts all that you know. It's Aegis, you loving this, ain't you? It go all the way back to ancient times. See y'all from the motherland, ain't no freaking deals and no heart in this, no tenses and not verbs. So when you hear black people speaking and thinking we mispronouncing these words, we say them the way that we supposed to. Passing our culture down through generations, I'm thanking God for the old school. I know how to say what I say to my broskies in ways that you don't understand. Like singing them hymns so Harriet Tubman can know to free us from the man. In the home of the brave and the land of the free, gotta let me be who I am. Or should I say be who I be? Cause that is more like who I am. The point I be dropping these bars is to let you know that just cause I'm different. And I ain't gon' speak the Kang English the way that you speak it don't make me deficient. In fact, because I am young, gifted and black, I am magnificent. Rockin' red for the blood that was shed of the slaves that revolted to get us this freedom. And the blood that is shed of these family men that the police determined as heathens. The original Asiatic, mathematic, and scientific is no equal. So I'ma put this black on black, cause when this on my back is for repping my people. And green for the land that we living off of, and the struggle we giving you art and facts. We're giving you art and facts.
Anger, look out, it's danger.
Yo. What's up, boss man?
Good to see you, sir.
You look good, man. I like the blue.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you meeting up with me, man, and just coming out here. When I called you and I said I wanted to meet up with you, I just wanted to meet up and talk about us. Like Black Charlotte, us, what's going on here, our community, things that happen with us, and not just focus on like, you know, the issues that we're dealing with, but really just kind of get like a tied to the solutions, and you being a solution. Everything you do at St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church, your youth mentorship, volunteer work, just everything you do just for the community, city at large. I knew just talking to you is just pretty much imperative, so appreciate you, man, for meeting up.
Problem, no problem.
So my first question, man, why did you want to meet up here at Little People Park?
Well, oftentimes it's an area that's forgotten. It's Little People Park represent the community of Belmont, and to represent the community of Belmont, it sometimes is often overlooked, but it's actually a place where everybody sometimes come together. There's activities that happen out here throughout the community through the Belmont Community Association that brings the community together. It's a place where everybody can come together and kind of talk. Kids can play around in the park, and it just brings families together.
I drove around the area and like, even from the church, it just seems like us, what I'm used to seeing, that's changing. Like there's so I'm gonna just be straight, like gentrification. I'm gonna just be straight up, because I'm seeing a lot of other people that I'm not used to seeing. So like, is that something that's common just in this area right now, or do you?
No, it's happening throughout. So you in this particular community, you're looking at a community that years ago, probably 10 years, a little over 10 years, where the home value in this community was about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. To now you're looking at home values where they've come in and they've torn down some homes and they built up homes, and you got houses going for $500,000. So the gentrification is happening. It's not just happening in the Belmont community, but it's happening throughout communities that are in close proximity to Uptown Charlotte.
Now, is that like the biggest, or the biggest issue that we're dealing with just as Black Charlotte, or is there just a wide variety of different things that we're dealing with, just let alone gentrification just happening here?
That's just a small portion. I think where we are right now is we're at a point where everything that the Black community have sown, whether it's neglect, whether it's not coming together as a people, all those things are beginning to manifest. The harvest is right upon us. And unfortunately, we're kind of more reactive as supposed to be proactive. We let some things lie dormant. In some way, we've been a little selfish about our own agenda, that we forgot about the agenda of our people. And so now we stand at this crossroad and we're trying to do some things, but we're kind of behind the 8 ball on some things.
Well, it's safe to say then, like, or at least to me, safe to say that, you know, we need a Rolodex, in a sense. You know, if we got more than one issue that we're dealing with, you know, we just need a wide variety of, you being the solution, but a wide variety of solutions, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I want to go see some stuff, man. You want to go take for a walk?
Sure.
Let's go walk. Gentrification, like, when I think of, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of like combating gentrification is real estate. Like, I'm thinking lease property home, and not even just like home ownership, but just like commercial real estate. When you think of like buying back a block and just us owning just a large landmass to kind of, so we don't have to worry, at least we won't have to worry as much. Like, is that like a viable solution, like real estate at least?
It is, but you know, where we are right now, especially in this community, the property values are so high right now in terms of buying. So when you have, you look at the homes that are right here around us, you know, these are homes that have not been purchased yet. And you can tell, you know, just by looking at some of the houses. But at the same time, you go right down the street here and you got another house a property that was purchased. They either renovated or they have torn it down and they've built other homes where it's unbelievable. Just the look between the homes you see right here near Little People Park versus a home that are less than a block away.
My name is Tecoby Green. A lot of people call me TX Green. I am a real estate broker here in Charlotte. I have my own firm, Green Group Realtors. We've been in business for over 22 years. In addition to being a licensed real estate broker, licensed in North and South Carolina, by the way, I also produce a weekly television program on public access titled The Chocolate Box Presents. Gentrification, it's complicated. The safe and short answer is it's complicated. Homes that were owned by people who lived in, I could cite certain neighborhoods 30, 40, 50 years ago, those people have been forced out, again, because of you know, people selling the properties, buying the properties at below market value, in some cases tearing the properties down and building, you know, $500,000 homes in that same subdivision, neighborhood communities. And the people who are living there can no longer afford the taxes on it. So it's a system that has worked, not just in Charlotte, but in cities across the country where predominantly African-American communities are blighted or viewed as castaways. And that's a go-to community, particularly if they're located near certain areas. And then those people who have deep pockets can come in, buy the properties. And those people who don't have as deep pockets are forced to move out. But there's a move called Buy the Block. I think it's up in Detroit, maybe even Atlanta, and I think a place like Baltimore, where African-American communities have pooled together their resources to buy entire city blocks. You know, sometimes these are homes that have been vacant, vandalized, you know, burned down. And so here in Charlotte, you know, you have communities like the Cherry community, Wilmore, Smallwood. These areas at one point were viewed as, you know, not desirable. But now in Smallwood, you know, you can probably find homes for $250,000, if not $500,000 or more. And why? Proximity to what we call uptown.
You said something. You said like, just like the pricing, like how expensive, you know, just in general, like cost of living is going up, but especially in terms of like property value and all that. Like when you think of like economics, just us and how we can just not only just afford to be able to just purchase property, whether it be homes and just land itself, like economics in our community, how we make money move or should be making money move. And do you think like there's like a certain, or should be like a certain formula to just accruing wealth? And like, and I can't even just leave it at that, because it's like if you look at just our history, like we do have a legacy of slavery. And it was like poverty that came out of slavery, and it pretty much is attached to us today, that traces back. So, like, do you think there is like a specific formula to just accruing wealth, like for us, how we can just make some money move in our community, to build, to own just land, just like, is there some sort of way we can do this, or do you think we can't do it by ourselves solely? We might have to
I think we can, but one of the things that we have to consider is, for a long time we've been selfish. My agenda has been all about me and less about my people. That mentality has kind of hit us. And so when you're talking about acquiring wealth collectively, oftentimes you got too many people that it's all about their agenda and it's not about the collective agenda. And so in doing that, I think we have to get to a point where we're realizing that it can't be just about us as individuals, but it's got to be about us collectively.
My name is Delvin Joyce, and I'm a financial planner. I'm a financial planner with Prudential Financial, but I also work under my own DBA called Prosperity Wealth Group. So as a financial planner with Prudential, I offer financial planning services. And financial planning, I often say this, is somebody helping you to organize your financial situation, right? Whatever that looks like. So helping you clarify your objectives, what are you trying to accomplish financially, and then putting intentional steps in place to help you get there. I've gotten a ton of support from the local community here in Charlotte. I mean, we have clients all over the country, my practice, but a lot of our base started here in the Charlotte area. So working with organizations like the National Association of Black Accountants, the National Black MBA, those types of organizations have helped me to truly build a brand and a name for myself here in the Charlotte area. In terms of, uplifting people in the Black community, I do think that having that representation in Black business is important, right? And so it's not necessarily, hey, let's be exclusionary and only work with Black people and exclude other ethnicities. It's more so, how do we empower other Black businesses so that, we have that representation? Because far too often, I think we sort of write each other off, right? You have a bad experience with one Black-owned business, and you're like, see, that's why I don't do business with Black folks, right? And that never really happens when you talk about other races, right? You don't have a bad experience with a white caterer and say, well, I'm never going business with white people ever again, right? But I think that for us, it's important for us to really support one another, support each other's businesses, to make sure that we have that representation. People who have the political capital and the political power in this country also have the money, right? And so I don't think you can have one without the other. But here's what I would say from an economic standpoint. I do think that we have to start within our own economic households. And that's where I'm so passionate. I don't consider myself an activist necessarily, right? I'm not gonna be the guy marching in the streets and holding signs, but I am gonna be the guy sitting in a room full of Black folks saying, here's the things that you need to do economically to empower yourself, your family, for future generations. Let's build that emergency fund. Let's buy life insurance for your family. Let's set up a 529 plan for your kids to make sure they can go to college and build their own economic base, right? So I think when we think about the economics, it's personal financial wellness first. And then on the political side, it can't just be, let me post the woke thing on my Instagram, or let me go down to the marches, for BLM and get my picture with me with my fist in the air and then put it on my social media, and then that's it, right? So when we think of the politics of it, we also have to think about action. And if we don't have the action behind all the symbolism and all those other things that we're doing, then we're just kind of missing the point. So I think it's economics from a personal financial wellness standpoint, and then it's the action behind all of that. I do think we can rebuild Black Wall Street, but I think it looks different, right? And I think it's more e-commerce, technology, not necessarily brick and mortar. And I think that's where we have to sort of steer our young Black kids into other careers, right? Like the only way for you to make it out of the hood or your circumstances is not having a great jump shot and maybe a wicked 16 bars. And I'm saying that as a former professional athlete, right? I mean, I played NFL football and I do a lot of speaking to kids. And I often try to shy away from the conversation about me playing professional sports because I don't want them to see me as an athlete. I want them to see me as a black guy in a suit who is a financial planner, right? And so I do think we can rebuild Black Wall Street, but we have to start to educate and reappropriate our dollars into places that help our kids see more opportunity outside of some of the stereotypical things that I think black people often do.
I've noticed like at least for like 6, maybe 7 years or so, I've noticed like this aggressive push for like just political astuteness, amongst African Americans, like in terms of, especially like organizations who are, advocating for reparations, and organizations who are pushing like more of like accountability coming from, just our government and so forth. Like when you bring that home to Charlotte and our behavior as Black Charlotte, with our community here in the city of Charlotte, like, do you think that we are as like a politically astute and aggressive here in the city, like when it comes to our involvement in our politics here in the city? Or like you said, you mentioned we tend to sit idle sometimes. Do you think that needs to be, are we okay in terms of our politics, or are we not?
No, we're not. I think we're reactive.
Okay.
When something major happens, then we respond.
Tygah, and I am planning director for the city of Charlotte, but I am also assistant city manager for the city. As assistant city manager, not only do I provide oversight over the planning department, but I also provide leadership support to the Charlotte Department of Transportation and the Charlotte Area Transit System, popularly known as Scottt. So essentially, I oversee land use planning, transportation, and public transit. Every growing city needs a plan. A plan essentially that talks about where are we headed in the future and how do we get there. Because frankly speaking, it's like Alice in the Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Sometimes even when you arrive at your destination, if you don't have a map of what it looks like, you won't even know when you've arrived. And so as a city that's growing, 15th largest city in the country by population, almost 900,000, and one of the top fastest growing cities in the country. And the last time we had a citywide plan like this was back in 1975. That's a long time ago. There's a lot of people who live in Charlotte today who were not here then. How can we together as a city really map together the path to that future that we want as a city? A place that's equitable for everyone. A city where you feel like you belong and you don't have to feel you have to live in a particular place where people don't look like you or feel like you, but a city where you come here and you feel like, I can choose to live anywhere I want to live. I can afford housing in any part of the city. I can be close to different amenities. That's why you need a plan. It's a land use plan primarily, and it guides our physical growth as we grow into the future. So I'll tell you that when we started discussing the comprehensive plan, we had to have a conversation around what should be the driving theme of such a citywide plan. On one hand, we talk a lot about equality, but we felt that was not a deep enough message, because equality is when you give different, you give the same thing to different people, all right? But equity is when you meet people where they are. And so we wanted a plan that would be driven by equity. That's number one. Number two, we also wanted voices that have not been involved in the planning process to be involved right from the beginning, such as Black and brown communities, young people, immigrants, low-income earners, people who felt that you're doing something to them rather than you're doing something with them. And so we wanted them to be at the table. So the very first set of engagements we did focused on West Charlotte and East Charlotte, wanting to be able to get the Black communities to be at the table, talking about our vision as a city and our values as a city. And then from there, we started going to different parts of the community. But it was very important that we did that, because when you are shaping a city for the future, it's important that the people who are typically not at the table be allowed to take center stage.
Everything you're saying is just on point, facts. I'm gonna just jump to something just random, because you already know how I am. Did you work out this week?
Yes, I
Tell-
worked out this week.
That's okay. That's what's like, cause you already know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Like when it comes to like our health, and this is personal for me, you know, like our health, just not only our diet, just our regime, just our lifestyle, in terms of pushing our culture forward, specifically. I'm not even gonna ask. Would you agree that we need to actually do a better job at pushing our health, like taking our health seriously in every aspect, not just our food, but just our exercising and what we do?
I agree. You know, you be a blind man not to be able to see that there's a need for us to do that.
You use each other's energy to be able to face challenge and adversity and to be able to push through. So that's us. That's what I am, we is.
My name is Wisdom Jazar, and the organization is I Am We Fitness. Well, I Am We is a term or phrase that comes from a longer phrase, I am because we are, coming from that African principle or philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. The shortened version is I Am We. You know, it's an organization that deals with the importance of brothers working together for more than themselves, right? Because that philosophy works with this idea that we're not individuals as much as we are individual parts of a collective. Everything we do, from those things that have come before us to things we are now and things we are to come, are all part of a greater fabric or a greater connection, and that's what I Am We really is about. It's about brothers working with each other, strengthening each other in order to build who we are in our character, you know, build who we are in our physical fitness, and build who we are in terms of us being assets to our communities, to ourselves, and to our families. Without being fit and healthy, you're unable to be that asset, right? So if you're more preoccupied with sickness or an unhealthy lifestyle, then you are less able to be a benefit to others. You're more of a drag on others if you are the one that's constantly going to the hospital or having ailments and having problems that don't allow you to do things for others. You know what I'm saying? So for us, health and fitness is the foundation to your ability to have a strong mental and even spiritual grounding. And as I Am We, that's what it's about. It's saying, I'm not into that only me thing. Because if it's only me seeking pleasure, then why would I sacrifice? Why would I challenge myself? Why would I go through that hardship or that challenge of burning muscle or sweating, you know, being out in the cold or being in the heat? Why would I do that if it's not going to be fun? But if I'm thinking about it like, you know, me doing this is going to improve myself, not just for me, but because I'll be a better person for my son, my daughter, my wife, my community. If need be, I'm able to perform whatever task needs to be desired of me.
One aspect of health that I definitely wanted to ask you about, mental health. And we touched on it a little bit kind of one time. Like one time, I don't know, one of the many times I talked to you, you touched on it a little bit. Like, do you think we dismiss like how important it is to just deal with trauma, like just not even just like on a cultural basis, but just individual trauma, whether it be through childhood, relationship, whatever, like trauma? Do we dismiss that too much, and we try to say, okay, we good, just pray about it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Praying about it is not the only solution. I think we dismiss it because of fear of what people will think about us. I think we dismiss it because, especially in our community, for a long time, it has been taboo, you know, for anybody to have mental issues. So what happens is, you know, we face trauma, we face difficult situations, and we're told to, you know, don't worry about it, you know, trust God, you know, but we're not told that, you know, it's okay to go get some counseling. It's okay to go get some help from a licensed therapist.
My name is Cassiel Smith. My business is Wealthyology Counseling Center. I'm a licensed clinical addiction specialist, and I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. Wealthyology is a counseling program, therapy, one-on-one counseling, group counseling, cater to, my specialization is in substance abuse, depression, ADHD, anxiety, transitioning from a job, transitioning to a new location and having unresolved issues. Deal with a little bit of sports counseling. I'm a former football player, Division I football player, so I'm able to speak to some of the concerns that former athletes have experienced, and things like that. There is a stigma related to mental health. I mean, we're dealing with years and years of just seeing individuals who have dealt with issues, and one of the main things that a family member or you might have said or I might have said is say, oh, they're crazy. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to get mental health help or therapy because I don't want people to think that I'm crazy. And there is definitely a stigma with that, thinking that I don't want to be crazy. You might have a family member who believes more in the spirituality, more in religion, and will say, well, pray your way out of it. You know, ask God to help you out of it. And I'm a firm believer in the faith. I'm a firm believer that principles and spirituality can help you and guide you and provide you with coping skills. But for some people, there needs to be a little bit more. And so I think definitely helping individuals see that when you go to mental health, it's not saying that you're crazy. It's just saying that you're admitting that you have a concern or an issue that needs to be addressed. When you deal with trauma that is unresolved, it's one thing to go through trauma and have it be resolved and maybe reformation or, you know, some issues are resolved during that time period. But when you have unresolved conflict, unresolved strife, listen, we were taken away from our families, we were beaten, verbally, physically abused, sexually abused, castrated. You know, we left our families, we were separated from our families, not left our families. We left our home country, our dialect. And so when those issues are unresolved, they get passed on to the next generation. And then those next generation of individuals don't know how to resolve it because mom and dad, they didn't show me, you know, and there was not that training of how to deal with those issues. And as a result, we are dealing with those same issues today. We don't resolve our issues. There's some issues systematically that we're still seeing. And so when you look through history and you say to yourself, well, things are not changing, things tend to get settled in. And then as a result of those things being unresolved, you deal with depression, you deal with anxiety, you deal with sleep issues, you deal with eating your pain, you know, you deal with health issues, heart attacks, you deal with a lot of different things that are not being addressed. And then that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Like we're not blind to what's going on in the country. Like we're everything that me and you talk about personally, just the violence that's going on, whether it be inside our community or even just outside, everything that's happening in the country, whoever you want to blame it on, we see it. Self-defense, us getting on code to defend ourselves, defending our communities, turf, is that like just about how important is that really now today how important is self-defense today, like for us, like if you think about just what's happening here in the country?
So if we don't defend ourselves, who will?
I'm Jay, John Henderson. Jay Henderson is what most folks call me. This is Legacy Martial Arts and Fitness. This is our Martial Arts and Fitness Institute.
I'm Shelton Henderson, co-owner with my brother here, and I'm the assistant instructor here and lead fitness instructor here.
Legacy Martial Arts and Fitness is pretty much full spectrum, right? Our core, we teach martial arts to kids, men and women, ages 5 and up, right? So that's self-defense in a traditional system called Lotus. We also train, we have personal training, strength and conditioning. We do all those things which we feel like is very important in the community as it is, you know what I mean? So we offer a broad range of training, starting with the self-defense and martial arts aspect of things.
We offer a total mind, body, and spirit experience here. We attack the mind, we attack the body in terms of what we're teaching you, and we also attack the body and the spirit with the fitness that we're actually putting you through. You know, all those things come together. A lot of it too is based off of awareness, you know, and I'm saying situational awareness, like my brother was saying. You know, if we teaching our young kids at a young age to be just aware of all the situations that they're in, whether it's personal relationships between myself and my brother, a interpersonal relationship with someone else, or just saying, hey, you know, when I woke up this morning, I came outside to the mailbox, I didn't see that truck over there this morning, but that truck's sitting over there. So now I can say, hey, you know, Mom, Dad, it's a truck that's sitting outside that wasn't out there. You know what I'm saying? It's just being aware of the little things, and it's gonna help pretty much perpetuate the way we as a community think.
Roman Townsend.
Broderick or Drake Bird.
Black Diamond. We do concealed carry classes, sell guns with self-defense training, various trainings besides just concealed carry, so gun safety, gun cleaning. We do AR builds, youth classes, chess, book club, everything.
Self-defense is everything. I mean, you know, we've always, you know, it's always been there. They just don't, you know, that's just not the picture that they paint. And, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just amongst, you know, us as a people, it's anybody. Anybody is going to defend their own. If you cannot defend your own, then you have nothing.
I grew up in New York, upstate New York, but I remember going into the city. If you go into Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, for instance, they don't have NYPD there. The Jews there, they defend their own community. And they get there before NYPD does. If there's a car accident, domestic violence, whatever it is, they get there and they police themselves before anybody else does. And it's not just their community, it's in almost any other community they have where they defend themselves first. And if we defend ourselves first, then we have no need for police.
There's something that's happening, Reverend Bernie, like I've noticed this in black culture, like maybe, especially now within the last maybe 5 years, so more so specifically with my generation, millennials, and even Gen Z, we're starting to become more like, we're reconnecting with our African roots, like in terms of culturally and just like what's happening with like our music, food. There's a lot of discussions on belief systems and just our history and what was this, what not. Like the fact that it's like a movement happening here, just here in the city, like not in the city, it's just movement happening just in general in our culture. How do you feel about that? Is that a good thing to you that we're reconnecting with our African roots and our history and culture?
Yeah, I think it's important. So we are people who represent what we've been exposed to, whether it be our culture, whether it be our environment. All of that compounds to shape who we are. The thing about reconnecting with the culture, I think is very important. But I think there needs to be balance in doing that.
I'm Prince. This is Comedic Science Institute. It was definitely a place that was derived to save babies. It was necessary because we didn't have this around. So we definitely needed this, bro. We have a lot of products that's for your health because the body is very important. And most of us forget that the body is more important than anything else on this planet. So we touching the body first. So we have different tonics, we have different herbs, we have different types of sea moss. We have just about everything that you can use in order to prolong your life. I think more people are aware of our Afrocentric, history, and that's necessary for us to survive. Even though the vanguards were speaking, previously, but nobody couldn't hear, nobody wasn't really listening. So the information has always been out there. I think it's just the next generation that was touched by the ones before that continue the legacy of speaking. I do believe it's the age of enlightenment. I think the cycle is coming back around where people are, aware or being awakened to certain spells and hypnotism that we've been under. It's the season for us to wake up again. The culture's for survival. Okay, this is one of the reasons it's a political, social, and economic necessity for you to say that you're not African, because you're going to allow other people to lead you, and the other people have been leading you to your grave, and that hadn't been working. So your true culture teaches you how to eat. It lets you know that you've been eating poison every day. It teaches you how to raise your babies, the right information they need to survive. It teaches you so many things that you didn't know of. It teaches you about the sounds that you've been listening to that are detrimental to you. So the culture is survival.
When it comes to community activism and people who say they want to get into this work and they say things like, okay, I want to start a 501c3, or I want to just, I don't know, even when it comes to mentorship at all, like is there like a, I don't want to say like levels to it, like, or some sort of like not variables, but like, or formula, or just like, is there some sort of order in doing that, or is it kind of more of a thing like, man, just get up and go?
It became a part of who I am as an individual. And so what does that mean? I've spent most of my life always doing what I'm doing, okay? And certain things are not written in the book, okay? So did I wait and say, okay, now I have this training, now I have that training? No, I did not. Because again, you got to understand that some of it is simply about the presence,
right?
Okay? Right. When people see that you care, right, they're going to be more apt to have a conversation with you.
Ryan Jor-El, Black Fathers Rock. Black Fathers Rock is a nonprofit organization that sets out to change the narrative concerning Black fatherhood, dispel the notion that all Black fathers are absent, while providing them with resources to strengthen their family. It started off as an award show, and within the last 4 years, we've become a full-blown nonprofit, do community give-backs throughout the city of Charlotte and beyond, and it's a movement. It's
Adrian Sundiata Ayotunde. It's actually my whole name. Most people know me by just Adrian Sundiata. The name of my company is Adrian Sundiata and Company. I'm also partners with a company called Juju Life, which is an African spiritual tradition, service-based business. Most of my background is working with Black men and boys in different capacities. So I've done that through a programmatic after-school programs, to the jails, and working with work release and restitution through the county. I've done it in the school system, charter school system, from 2004 to 2016. Run group home facilities for mostly Black boys, and so academies around rites of passage for Black boys, and I also do one-on-one consulting with Black men just about their life.
I'm Baba Reggie Singleton. I'm the founder and the executive director of the Males Place Inc. And the Males Place Inc. is a manhood training. It's a prescriptive, African-centered, male-centered, non-religious, multi-dimensional organization that serves the needs and interests of Black boys 12 to 18. Our mission is quite simple. We take time-honored traditions and teachings to bring Black boys to manhood. We also are in the business of not only developing young Black boys to manhood, but also taking Black men to eldership, to become Jengos, to be keepers and protectors of our community.
So my name is Toussaint Romain. I guess I'm an attorney by trade. I would also say that I'm involved in everything, man. I mean, Charles Hamilton Houston was a lawyer who taught Thurgood Marshall, right? A Harvard-educated man, went to Howard and taught. And he once quoted or said that lawyers are either social engineers or parasites on society. Lawyers either help build a better tomorrow or they suck the life out of everyone that they're around, right? And so I would tell you that I am a social engineer. I was a public defender for nearly 10 years in Charlotte. Had a really storied career, man. Had about 50 jury trials, won 40 plus more, right? I mean, I was really successful in that role, but it was a challenge because I could never actually change the system. I would help an individual case one by one, but I was never actually able to impact the way they prosecuted folks and the way we defended folks, and really the way policing happens in America. So kind of tried to expand beyond that. Again, that concept of being a social engineer.
My name is Ira Lawrence, also known as Ira Dubb, and my organization is Bunk 57 Ministries. So Bunk 57 Ministries literally started on Bunk 57, which is my bunk number when I was incarcerated. I did 3 years in the state of Georgia, and while I was there, 2 out of those 3 years I spent actually on Bunk 57. And of course, while I was incarcerated, I actually rededicated my life to Christ. So I started ministry even then. We had a prayer circle within the dorm that I was in, and it really just became like a joke, like, you know, whenever you come to see me, you come into Bunk 57 Ministries, you know what I'm saying? So people came all the time to my bunk for prayer, questions about the Bible, all that sort of stuff, and that's just what it was. And so I decided, you know, or actually God gave me a vision for Bunk 57 Ministries to be a reality out on the street. And so I brought it out here into the free world. And the mission that we have right now is to really divert youth from the school to prison pipeline, and also help guys that are returning home from prison that don't have the same type of support that I have to get on their feet.
I never set out to become a nonprofit. I say this a lot, but I never did. I would rather lock arms with someone who's doing something, and even with Black Fathers Rock, we could partner with the city of Charlotte, we could partner with the Community Resource Center, we could partner with Dubb and SWAT, or whomever's in the community doing great things. Let's link arms and partner together. You know, one thing about us is we know we can't do it alone. And so whatever you want to do, whatever you're passionate about, start there.
But I've always seen leadership as either an opportunity or an obligation. And I've just always felt obligated to do this work. To whom much is given, much is required.
Activism starts at home. Start with your people, and then work your way outward. It does us no good, right? If we doing all this community work, and our own, you know, young men in our family, young women in our family is in shambles. So I would say start at home and be consistent, and start with what you know. Don't stretch yourself beyond your ability.
I think that some of the best people that we have actually comes through the ranks of the people, and not so much someone that's appointed. I think that when people though are sincere, even when you make mistakes, I think people know where your heart is, and so it's not so much about me or any individual, but it's about us.
It's a just do it mentality, and the more you actually go out and do it, the more you'll realize that there's other people that are willing to support you because of what you're doing, you know, and it comes from just getting out there and literally just doing it.
I wanted to talk to you specifically, you know, for a reason, because I want to bring the conversation a little bit closer to home. Like, and to do that, I want to transition to one point. I want to ask you, what is your definition of manhood?
When you have arrived to a point in your life that first you can take care of yourself. Secondly, you don't need affirmation from anybody else to validate who you are as a person. And thirdly, most important is that that you begin to leave footprints of who you were. So when your time is up, you know, when it's time for you to transition to death, people know that you were there. based off of your deeds?
Really being confident in yourself, first of all. Having faith that's placed in the right place, you know, faith in God and in yourself at the same time, you know what I mean? And also being the type of person that's really willing to not only do for yourself, but to know that that you're responsible, you know, for more than just you.
Manhood is defined by its culture group. And so culturally responsible manhood was that. Men who were willing to step up and be responsible for their culture group and provide the needs of their culture group and solve the problems of their culture group.
It's a thinker, you know, it's someone who is independently, who can think independently of what others may say that this is what this is or this is what this isn't.
Stepping into accountability, understanding that, hey, you know, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago, right? Finding, you know, your purpose and beginning the blueprint for your legacy.
My definition, though, ultimately is to bring a boy from merely being a male and taking him to an adult where he understands his most basic obligation is to provide for his family, his community, to protect his family and community and his interests, and then ultimately to serve and to do nation building.
Being a good father is a part of manhood. That's probably one of the biggest parts for me. Being a good husband, a spouse, or significant other if you're not married. Being a good human being.
Letting your word be your bond, being respectful, you know, being more mature in your thinking, you know, not doing foolish things.
A man is he who does things based on what is necessary, and necessary for his life, for the life of his family, and for the life of his community.
In Kemetic, the definition of man is a producer and not a consumer. A definition of a man to us is someone who's willing to give their physical form to protect the women, the babies, the culture. That's what a true man is to us.
Willing to stand up for your responsibility and ride on that. Understand the importance of that. Having code and willing to move on that code and willing to die for that code if necessary. That's what manhood is to me.
Having the courage to make the hard decisions, but also having the humility to know when you're not right.
You got to learn to speak up. That's one. As a man, you have to learn to speak up. What's your position? I think Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if a man has nothing to stand for, he has nothing to live for, right? I mean, so you have to stand for something. And when you stand for something, you need to let your voice be heard.
Too often, though, we as black men don't get that manhood. We don't impart upon each other this wisdom and this belief and this value of, yo, I see you. I love you. You're a man. I mean, how many times has a black man ever said that to you?
As black men, what is our responsibility to our community?
To build it, to nurture it, to be to civilize it, to live, die, or kill for it, to maintain it by any means necessary. And I think we get caught up in ideals and systems that are not our own, and we buy into it. And we live in this world and we thinking that death is like the worst thing that can happen. But living and not being a man is much worse than death, because everybody's gonna die. But if you on this planet and you not living and being a man, that's fate worse than death.
The responsibility for us as black men is to produce. This society has, made us believe that consuming makes the man. And that's not the key, because right now we're not producing. We're purchasing everything outside of our communities. Actually, we're taking care of everybody else's babies except for ours. So when you're spending all your money in other people's stores, that means we're leaving our babies to rob, to steal, to be, to indulge in criminality. And that's the problem. that's why they don't have no respect, you know what I'm saying, pretty much for the elders, because the elders didn't know any better. So they spent all their money on, you know, they funded our own oppression.
And that's the biggest trick, right? That we had this parasitic relationship with this other culture group. They literally living off of us, but convincing us that we can't live without them. And we got generation after generation that believes this mythology. And they won't even try because they don't want to be uncomfortable. And for us to gain back our manhood, we're gonna have to be uncomfortable. We're gonna have to, it's gonna be lean times, right? We're not gonna be able to live high off the hog in the land. It's gonna be lean and tough because we're gonna have to literally stop with that. Everybody, I get it from the mud. You ain't got nothing from no mud. Start a nation up.
A man's presence can change a lot. So you think about school shootings, you think about juvenile detention centers and things like that. If there were more men present in PTA or at the schools or at the bus stops, I can guarantee some of that, and statistics will show that some of that's gonna go down, right? And even from a child rearing standpoint, now I'm on my soapbox, from a child rearing standpoint, black men actually take care of their kids more and do more than their counterparts as it relates to child rearing, picking them up from school, doing homework, and it's a vast difference, but you will never see that in the media. You will see the deadbeat dad, you will see the prison population, but you won't see the college-educated men that are doing things in the community.
Responsibility are comprised of two words, response, able. Or if I can flip it, the ability to respond, right? We as black men will respond. When it comes to protests, we'll be there. When it comes to supporting our brother who's in court, we'll be there. When it comes to going to the new barbershop, because there's old dudes there, we'll be there. When it comes to putting some money on the books of commissary, we'll be there. We will always respond. But the truth is, we may not always have the ability. Many black men who have convictions or records can't go get a job to then get the income they need to buy the Pampers and the diapers and the shoes for the baby that they've had, right? They don't always have the ability or aren't given the opportunity or access to really make that difference. And I'm not making excuses for them, because if you see them, they're still busting their tails to respond. But the system doesn't always provide them with the ability to do so.
When I think of like just any sort of community, true organization in a community, the first thing I'm looking at is the family structure, and just you think you have a family here, you have a family there, you have a family there, that's a community right there, just a community of families. How important is the black family?
Oh gosh.
It's almost a rhetorical question, because it's everything.
It's the cornerstone. It is definitely the cornerstone. The black family has always been the thing that has kept us strong. It has been the thing that supported us. It has produced those values and those things that are very important that we need to learn as early as a child all the way up to adulthood.
Oh, it's crucial. It's crucial. I think there is no black community without the black family. There's no black power without the black family. There's no freedom and liberation without the black family.
The black family is essential for all existence.
The family, period, is something that God established really as the first form of government. Really, it is family. You know what I'm saying? Everything starts in the home. You know, you train up a child in the way they should go, and when they get older, they won't depart from it. That's what that means. You know, that's the household. You know, and the man being the head of the household and all of that stuff. It's the first establishment of government. You know, I mean, that is what God establishes, family.
The family is so essential because that's where you find protection. It's where you find provision. It's also where you find a lot of support.
If we can give the black family that economic base, then that's where the black family thrives. And that's why I'm so passionate about my work. You know, one of the things that is a goal of mine is to help close the racial wealth gap. And I think I can do that one family at a time. And it is until we all start to be intentional about building wealth, creating wealth, not just for ourselves, but for generations, then the black family can never thrive.
When we grew up, I couldn't tell the difference between my brothers and my cousins. That's the best way I can say it, because we were all raised the same. We were all raised together. If I wasn't with my mom, I was with my aunt. If he wasn't with his mom, he was with my mom. You know what I mean? If I wasn't with my mom, I was with my grandmother. that was family for us.
I can't ask you that question without unpacking the relationship between black men and black women. Like, objectively speaking, where we are today, are we in a good space? Are we okay? Do we need some work? Like, where are we as when it comes to our relationship with our women, where are we today?
Just put me in garden right under the sun and moon, staring at stars.
Well, we've been through a lot.
I honestly, as a whole, I feel like we're okay.
I can't tell what's next. Just know it's gonna be good, 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 beautiful.
The key to our survival is the black man and the black woman coming together.
I think there was a period to where, of course, you know, us as black men did not understand, you know, that our black women meant just as much to us as we do to them.
If you look at the mass media and everything, it appears that black love is just gone, like it's missing, but that's not true. The truth be told, there's a lot more black love out there than what you would think it is if you just look at the media.
I've known so many black women who have been, I mean, they're ride or die. They're faithful and true. Very, very honorable. And so I love the black woman.
I don't care how mad a black woman makes me, right? If I see her under attack, I'm coming. Right? Okay, how much she might cuss me out, do whatever, say black men ain't no good. All that go out the window with a Sandra Bland if I'm present. I'm gone. She could have just cussed me out. I ain't gonna watch that happen because she all I got.
I mentioned Rolodex before we actually went on our walk, because we have like a variant of things that we're dealing with, just not only here in the city of Charlotte as our community here in Charlotte, but just black people as a whole. When I think of Rolodex, the first thing I'm actually thinking of are children like you. Like, they're like every investment we make, they're really the ones that we just move out and go about our day-to-day for anyway. Just everything that we're building, who we're building for, that's really who I'm thinking about, myself personally. Black boys are the next black men in training. Everything you said in terms of, you know, the responsibility of the man, our role, our leadership, that's going to be waiting on them once they become men. And I'm not dismissing the girls, because I'm actually very much thinking about black girls when they become black women, who are going to be the men waiting for them. So as black men today, what is the message that we need to be sending black boys today?
God. The God. And you say that every day. They should hear that every day. That they the greatest thing on the planet. There is no one, nothing better.
I love you. I don't think we hear that enough. I was talking to an older gentleman, and he was saying that he heard his dad say, "I love you," twice in his life. And I think we need to hear that connection. And the other thing is, I'm proud of you. I see you. Those are very important things, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to please our Father. We want to be like our Father. If they're good or bad, it's just something innate in us that wants to make our fathers proud.
You can be anything you want to be, and it doesn't necessarily have to involve a basketball or a football or a microphone or any of those things that you have been pigeonholed to think that you can do. Right? Let's get our kids involved in science, technology, engineering, and math.
You're from a divine source. You're a reflection of the creator of the universe. That you were sent here to be its representation on earth in masculine form. You're that masculine manifestation of divinity on earth. There was no man before you. You are the model of what it means to be a man on this planet. He has to know what that is and what that looks like. And that he had no predecessor. He had no one to teach him. What he knew instinctively how to survive this planet. And each decade, each century, he got better at it. He needs to know that.
I think the message that we send, number one, should be through our actions. Having children, having a son, being a part of a youth group for 6-7 years that I strengthened brothers that I worked with for so long, seeing young men working in the school system, etc. I realized that first and foremost, you can't tell them that message verbally as much as you can show them that message. One, I think the message that you should show is discipline, control, coordination, restraint, self-respect, humility, integrity. You should show honor. You should show patience. You should show tolerance. Because those are the principles that are necessary to be productive and generative as men.
Going back to just organization, our family structure, our village, our community, we know what we need to do. It's just a matter of doing it. Everything, and then leading, everything you said about manhood. As black men, how do we build a brotherhood amongst each other so we can actually build and do everything that we all complain about, everything we've discussed today? How do we build a true brotherhood amongst each other so we can get things done?
It's the number one thing, the pride, man. You gotta drop the pride.
Friendships, sometimes just ask a brother, hey man, how you doing?
Stop walking past the next man and looking at his shoes. Look that man in his face. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid to face adversity. You know what I mean? Because whatever you say to me, I'm man enough to be able to accept it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm able to work around it. You know what I mean? So if I come into a place and you don't look like, I don't know you from Adam, you know what I mean? But I can tell if you're having a hard day. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, how you doing, brother? You know what I'm saying? Fist pound, how you doing, man? You look good today, man. I ain't seen you in a long time. You know what I mean? We have to get back to acknowledging people even if they don't warrant it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Give that love, give that respect, because when people walk past you again, they're like, man, that's a solid dude right there, man. He don't bother nobody. You know what I'm saying? But he's always uplifting. He's always asking me how my day is. He's always telling me to have a good day. He's always trying to be inclusive and saying, how can I help you within this day? In the community, man, we have to let this whole, bad, I'm the baddest, I'm a bad boy this, I'm a thug this, man, thugs don't live long, man.
The way you build a community is looking in the mirror every day. Okay, so you have to find out your psychological problems that you've been having. You have to dig within yourself in order to know how to give the community what they need. And that's where we start from ourselves.
Be honest. Start with being honest with each other. Too many times we get around each other and we put on an air. We put on this profile. And we're not honest enough. We're not honest when we're hurting. We're not honest when we're disappointed with one another. We're just not honest enough with each other.
How are we going to sharpen each other if we're not coming with our true self? How are we going to begin to bridge this thing out in our community if we're not being our true selves? And I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but don't bring me your titles. Don't bring me your accomplishments. Bring me your authentic self.
We need soul brothers, people who, when I'm struggling, I can talk to and understand that they can help me and guide me right.
I think what it takes is us sitting down, us having a place where we can go and sit down, and before everybody goes in, everybody got to check egos at the door.
Let's not always get together and shoot the breeze and just talk crap. Let's get together and have meaningful conversations about our community and how to uplift things and talk about things that are actually going on in our lives. And I think by doing that, by creating that, we will create a stronger dynamic amongst black men.
In the spirit of collective work and responsibility, Ujima, I think there can be unity even if we're not maybe talking to everybody each day, but you know, in the spirit of operational unity, where we know and respect the work of others.
Unity is probably one of the hardest principles for us to get. It sounds so easy, right? Unity, all we need is unity, let's just unite. But going back to the family, if you have brothers, sisters, cousins, let me tell you something. You want to know how hard unity is, see how hard it is to be in that family. You've seen the conflicts, you know, with your sisters and your brothers and your cousins. So there are things that are necessary to have that mass unity. Get these small groups together. And we have these small groups. In time, those small groups can come together because it's so much easier to get 100 people together if they're in 10 groups of 10 than trying to get 100 individuals together.
Reaching out to the next man, the next child to say, hey, I see you. I'm doing this. Let's connect. Let's just get lunch. Let's do, get coffee. That's first and foremost. And then you see that you have an investment in common interests and see how we both can help each other. And you do that, multiply that times 5, 10, 15, 20. Here we are, a community trying to get things done.
How do we build it? That assumes we don't have it.
Yeah, the best way for us to build a brotherhood amongst each other is to first realize that we are already a brotherhood. You know what I mean? I can't see you as an enemy, as another black man. Every time I see another black man, I need to see that man as a brother. And that's the way I look at things personally. I feel like every black man is a brother.
Maybe there isn't a problem with us. Maybe we are a solution. But do you realize that if I can convince the enemy that he is divided, I retain control? And I believe this is more spiritual warfare than anything else, right? And we don't fight against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities of the dark. Maybe we just need to realize there's some spiritual awakening we need to have. That doesn't necessarily mean in Jesus or in Christianity. Maybe there's a need to say, I see you in your spirit, my brother.
That's all I had, man. That's all I had. That's all the questions I had, bro. You the man. You the man, bro. Thank you for speaking to me, bro.
Yes, sir.
Anything else did you?
This morning?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
I did. So I'm assuming, like, lunch is on you, because we're not even that far from downtown. So I want something expensive. I'm telling you that now.
You assuming?
I'm assuming, I'm assuming because you already know where I was going. I just want something expensive, so you know that now. Lunch is on you. We're not that far from down. Okay, for the Brotherhood. Now you just got finished talking about Brotherhood, but that's how it is. That's how it is.
Then you just said something expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's about the Brotherhood, then why do you have to put a
Because you
price
got it. Like, look at you. You sharp, boy. You sharp.
put a price on it?
You know, sure, you sharp. Look at you. You just got just fresh starch, pants. You know, you got your good cologne.
It's the Queen City anthem. I don't have all the answers. The patience paid off, now it's go time. No worries all around me, I'ma get mines. Born in the Queen City, got the 4-9. Go to Green Trip, told me where the cosign. Some people doubted me, that's close to me, that's their regret. When I make it, I'ma take it, all I do is rest. Remain grounded, self-care, that's when I'm at my best. A little crazy, that's when I'm at a test, feeling tuned. Yeah, we riding, yeah, we rolling, all the way to the ocean. I thought I told you got the sauce, yeah. I told you got the sauce. Remember, boy, got the sauce, yeah. Yeah, we riding, yeah, we rolling, all the way to the ocean. I thought I told you got the sauce, yeah. I told you got the sauce. Remember, boy, got the sauce, yeah. All these people hating, that's just motivation. Pass them through like CDs, they're in rotation. Let me talk my speech like the emancipation. You know we going places where the smiling faces like that we chose. We throwing the bows from the 7 to 4, cause we all on the road. Know I got my pride, I can't even lie. Ain't no time to settle, feel like Biggie, I was born to die. Yeah, we riding, yeah, we rolling, all the way to the ocean. I thought I told you got the sauce, yeah. I told you got the sauce. Remember, boy, got the sauce, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we riding, yeah, we rolling, all the way to the ocean. I thought I told you got the sauce, yeah. I told you got the sauce. Remember, boy, got the sauce, yeah, yeah.